This the NCB. I got a freak elite like Pablo Pete. 980 and DO4 is where the Charlotte leaks. 252 for the Greenville. Hat on blue for the Tar Heels. I can edge them on this paradox. Like crack foes, like the locks. We knock bolts and the knots. Now I know when he talks. How I can't even announce my parents' script to reach the doc. Cause when this ball point to close, my mental travel hellish spots. Like astro projection. Cannot conjoint the two of us if there is no connection. But you can close section. The NCB, the NCB. The NCB, the NCB, whoa, whoa.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, I love you, Mr. Jackson, for real, I do.
I almost got away. If it wasn't for that goddamn Gerald Jackson and the NCB mob, I almost got away. Gots to be more careful.
Whew, got to be more careful. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the NCB on tonight. Shout out to everybody that has come, shout out to everybody that has come on tonight to hear this story, a very serious story. Okay. And, I'm going to take my time with this on tonight. So I need everybody right now under the sound of my voice to share the live. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hello, 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 hello. Make sure y'all share the live tonight. If you're on Facebook, share the live. If you're on YouTube, share the live, thumbs up the video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on tonight. Listen, we got some stuff to talk about, okay, that's going on in the churches in North Carolina, okay? And before I get started, I just want to shout out to everybody. Let me know where you're watching from. Hey, Fighting Crime News and Who's Wanted. What's up, Kat? Shout out to everybody. Hello, Melissa. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on tonight. Okay, let me see, because we're gonna have to share this live for Tarica tonight, okay? Because it's women, not just women, but men also, that may be in a situation that she was in. And tonight we're gonna hear her story. But I want everybody to share this live tonight. If you in Raleigh, if you in Charlotte, if you in Fayetteville, share the live on tonight. If you know any of these people that we're talking about tonight, if you know Tarica, if you know the pastor, share the live on tonight. And at the end of this little series that I'm doing, okay, because this whole week is going to be dedicated to Tarica, okay? We might finish before the end of the week, but it's going to be dedicated to her and me going live and, sharing her story about what she went through. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Okay, let me just shout out some of y'all cities on tonight. Okay, let me go back up here, start from the top. Dang, y'all went fast. Okay, here we go. Florida in the building. What's up, Francesca? New York in the building. Ash, North Carolina in the building. And this is the time, for people to come on in and get your seats, because this stuff right here is some serious stuff. And some serious stuff. Thank you so much. Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina. Let us get 100 shares for Tarica on tonight. Her story deserves to be heard. And I'm really mad because I didn't know about it earlier, when she was still on this earth. It's just so sad to see, what people are going through in the church and having to deal with this stuff, inside of them, because of something that someone else did, or someone that they trusted took advantage of them, or manipulated them, or gaslit them, or brainwashed them, But this story right here is, whoo. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see where we at in the shares. Okay, we had 20 shares on Facebook. We need at least 100 shares on Facebook, because I know a lot of y'all is in here being nosy and you just want to listen, but we need people that's going to interact, and we need people on the live that's going to, comment and get a participation grade on the night. All right. We need participation grades on tonight. Share this live, because when y'all reach out to me and want me to do your story, you want everybody to share your stuff, don't it? Share this girl's story. Her story deserves to be known. That's what's wrong with the church. They want to silence people from spreading awareness to people. That's what it is. That's what's wrong with the church. Don't. But that's all right, because I told y'all, pastors, I'm coming down. Y'all, I'm coming for the leaders. I'm coming for you crooked ass pastors. I am coming for you crooked pastors that play with God and out here take care. I'm telling you, this month, the month of November, is dedicated to y'all. And it's so crazy because I got some more stories from some people that done had experiences with pastors that done came to me over these last couple of days. Okay, let me see what we at. We have 54 shares for Tarica. We need 100 for Tarica. We need 100. We need 100 for Tarica. Her story deserves to be heard. We need 100 for Tarica. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more time to come on up in here tonight. Okay, let me see who else I can shout out. Kinston, thank you, Fighting Crime News. You Fighting Crime, you know. Durham, Hope Mills in the building. Winston Salem in the building. Yeah, they all need to be aired out. All right, so let me go ahead and get a little bit into this story on tonight. Okay, now we're gonna do a section by a section. Okay, I have like an hour of video tonight, okay, that we're gonna go through, and we're gonna listen to a story. Now, when I first heard about Tarica's story, I was shocked, and I was just like, wow. And then people started sending me the links to her videos where she was doing like a Facebook and YouTube documentary. Now on her YouTube, it has the full, I think it's 25 videos. And then on her Facebook, I think she has like 14 or 19, one of those two numbers. But we have all of the videos that she did. And let me show y'all who we're talking about, okay? This is Tarica James, okay? On September 7th of this year, okay? She took her life. She took her life. And she had been documenting about a relationship that she had been in with this pastor right here, Pastor Sonia Spence Walker of Word Center Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. She talked about how this pastor had a favorite song for her, how they had a favorite song for each other. Pastor Spence Walker loves Anita Baker. And she talks about how she had this Anita Baker song for her, Pastor Walker did, and how Tarica had a song for her. But we're definitely going to get into her story. I'm going to also be watching a lot of the video with y'all on tonight for the first time. I seen like 3 videos because it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And she just basically talked about how she has carried this secret with Pastor Spence Walker for 22 years. She said that it wasn't until she was 38 that she had came into a higher truth about the situation that she and Pastor Spence Walker allegedly were having. Okay. She talked about how she admitted that she always took responsibility and blamed herself for being in that situation. She said that at one point she saw it for what it was, that she was being manipulated and that she was being used by Pastor Spencer Walker. But she said by someone that she loved deeply and intimately and soulfully. She said that at the time of these videos, which was in January of this year. Hold on, y'all. Give me a moment. Let me just get this post pulled up. She talked about how she was in therapy, and she talked about how her therapist told her that sometimes in order to heal, you have to talk about things, right? And she talked about it. She came online and she did a documentary, and she told the world about what she had been going through with this pastor. And I'm going to let her tell the story in her words, but I just want y'all to hold on to your seats, because what you are about to hear from this young woman about this pastor out of Raleigh is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. All right. So in September, on September 8th, from my belief, Tarica James made a post on Facebook, or she scheduled a post on Facebook on the 7th for it to publish on the 8th of September. And in her post, she put her in the caption, she said July 25th, 1983 to September the 7th, 2024. She says, I did the best I could with what I had. I'm sorry it wasn't enough, but now I don't have to live for anyone else anymore. I can finally die for me. This is what she said in that Facebook post that was published on September the 8th. But she did, in fact, die on September the 7th. So I believe she scheduled the post. But her story, these videos that we're going to talk about tonight, told it. It told what she meant. It told what she was talking about. And it is really, 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 really sad. And I first want to start off with these videos. So let me tell y'all how we're going to do this. All right. So, because it's a lot of videos. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. Give me one moment. Just get this up here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go down the timeline that she has. Okay. She has her videos by entry, like entry 00, entry 01, entry 02. Now, I want to read. No, I'm gonna do it the way she has it done. Okay. So some of these videos I had to compile, but they separate and you can keep up easily on the title, the date of the video, and you know what's going on. So you can pay attention, get your notes, because at the end of this is sad. This is a really sad story. And God put it on my heart to bring it to people that didn't know anything about it to the forefront. Some of you may have seen it. This may be a second time for you. You watch movies more than one time, you can watch it again. All right. So I'm going to first play this video. It's about 6 minutes. Okay. And the way I got to do this, y'all, and then we're going to have to bounce back and forth. All right. So let me take these comments off the screen because we're going to need the full screen a little bit. All right. Okay, let me see if I can get this up here. Y'all give me one moment. And thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight, spending time with me to get this young lady's story out there, right? All right, let me see. Okay. Okay, can y'all see that? Okay, I'm going to put me down here in the little corner, all right? Okay. So this right here is entry 00, all right? It is the introduction to her docu-series, all right? All right, here we go.
Hi. For those who do not know me, my name is Eternity, and this is an introduction to my playlist, The True Confessions of a Teenage Mistress. So when I was 18, I was in a sexual affair with a church leader of my home.
I'm not going to do a lot of stopping, but I do want to tell y'all this. According to her mom, this pastor had allegedly been grooming her since she was 14. Okay? Allegedly. All right? So I don't want you to get confused with the 18 date, 18 age, and 14. All right? Just pay attention. Take notes because this is crazy. All right? This is some crazy stuff.
Home church. And this this playlist, this collection of videos is to talk about that experience and to share my story, because I am at an age now, 40 to be exact, that I realize the abusive and exploitative nature of that relationship. Now, many will say, oh, well, 18 is an adult, you can make your own decisions. And to a degree, I agree with that. But that's also a mindset that allows predators to take advantage of people, waiting for them to be legal. Because even with the legalness of being 18, there's still the context of how that situation began, which is what I'll be going into. The reason I'm talking about this is because I've carried this for 22 years. And the majority of that time, it was not until I turned about 38 that I actually came into some higher truths about the situation. But up until that point, I had always taken responsibility and blamed myself for being in that situation. And now I am at a point where I see it for what it was. I see just how I was manipulated and used by somebody who I loved deeply and intimately, soulfully. I'm currently in therapy at the time of this recording, and with the blessing of my therapist, I'll be telling this story. She says that part of my healing is simply to talk about it. In a way, it's a...
Okay, y'all. So I just want to stop right here. Hey, Miss Carletta. Everybody say hello to Miss Carletta. This is Tarica's mom, Eternity's mom, Miss Carletta Renee. Okay. And we just want to pray for her. And we want to give her so much love. So just make sure if you see in the comments, comment and show her some love, because she's still dealing with this. So, and you see what she said. Yes, the pastor is still has her church and denies the relationship. Of course, she gonna deny it. Okay.
It's an unburdening of myself, because this has been my big secret my entire life, that this relationship happened. And so in releasing the secrecy of it, I am releasing myself from that past and able to fully move forward, because it's hard to move forward. Actually, I'm gonna say it's pretty much impossible to move forward in your healing if you are still keeping secrecy and shame about what it is you need healing from. So this is my story. This is my experience. I do hope that people who follow along with this playlist, who have similar experiences, who have had this happen to them, are able to get healing in their own way. A lot of times we get healing through other people's stories, not because we're here for the drama, we're here for the tea, but because it's like, oh my gosh, it's not just me. I'm not the only one that has experienced this. And that is the reason that I'm willing to be open about everything. And this is hard to do that. It's hard to do that. The time of this video is January 10th, 2024. I actually have been talking about this on my Facebook page since November 2023. So it's been October or November. So it's been 2 or 3 months. And even in that short time, I have gone through a lot emotionally. A lot of unearthed a lot of new revelations, a lot of just dealing with this in a new reality. It has been heavy. It has been very, very heavy. So my intent here is not to burden other people and to bring other people down with this story. Content warning all the time, like only engage if you feel that you are in a place that you can benefit from this and you want to hear about what this story is. And sometimes it might come to some moments where you're like, you know what, I need to take a moment because this is a little bit too much for me. And that's fine. Please, take care of yourself as you follow along with this story. And honestly, there's no real structure to this. Like, I have some notes about some things I definitely want to talk about. But this will go on for as long as is necessary until I have released everything that I need to release. And one day I will make a video and be like, you know what? I think I've said everything I needed to say. And that's it. So yeah. Welcome to the video story, the playlist, the vlog of what I have dubbed the true confessions of a teenage mistress. And I hope that in sharing my story, I help people to be able to tell theirs. Even if not to other people, then being able to tell your story fully to yourself and getting healing through your own storytelling. Thank you.
All right. I knew y'all could hear me. All right. Can y'all hear me now? All right. I'm sorry, y'all. That was my fault. All right. Cool. Okay. So, like I just stated a few moments ago, is that was the introduction of her story. Okay. She also made a Facebook post, which she made a video of it, and it's called her entry 02, and it's called the Facebook post. But I'm going to read it because it's a video, but I'm going to read it. And then we're going to go to her other videos. All right. So this post that I'm about to read is actually on her Facebook page right now. And you're about to get her page and all that stuff. All right. All right, cool. Okay. So here she put this post up Sunday, November the 5th, 2023 at 10:33 a.m. Okay. Soul sharing coming out, no more secrets. The true confessions of a teenage mistress. Okay. Trigger and content warning: church abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse of a teen, and suicide. She says this warning is serious. Shit's about to get real. Okay. Can y'all hear me now? Okay. Can y'all hear me now? Okay. This is her testimony, and then we're going to get to her other videos because it's a lot. Okay. We got to pack all of this. She says, on October 22nd, 2023, I sat my mother down and told her a secret I told only a handful of people over the past 22 years. My two younger sisters were with us for support, sitting on the bed with me, with my mom, while I sat in a chair facing them. They already knew what I was going to tell her. I practiced it in my head repeatedly and knew that there was nothing to do except say it. So I took a deep breath, looked my mother in the eye, and told her the truth. When I was 18, the bishop's wife of our church, affectionately called First by our community, had a long-term sexual affair with me that had lasted throughout my college life and some years beyond. And this pastor whom she is talking about is none other than this pastor right here, Pastor Sonia Spence Walker of Word Center Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay. She said, for a moment, my mother sat in silence and just stared at me. I will never forget the way her face slowly fell as the impact of what I said hit her. I could see the pain in her eyes, and it broke my heart. As I awaited her response, I prepared myself for the worst. Maybe she didn't believe me. Maybe she thought I was disgusting for having an affair with a married woman. Maybe she'd blame my demonic gay spirit and tell me to get out of her house and never come back. I was ready for all of that. Instead, I'm getting chills just reading it. Instead, she got up from the bed, walked over to me, and hugged me tight. The first words she said to me were, "I'm sorry." She was sorry for not protecting me from a predator. She was sorry for not seeing any signs of the relationship happening. She was sorry because she had asked this woman, our church leader, and her close friend. And that's another thing that I want to point out. Pastor Walker and this woman were close, and Miss Carletta were close friends. They were close friends. They were close friends. All right. Okay, let me go back. Okay. To mentor me, and instead, she taken emotional and sexual advantage of me. Then she broke down and cried. Throughout the rest of the day, my mother, a woman I've rarely seen cry throughout my life, wept like a baby. I had been prepared for my mother's response, but I realized I hadn't been ready for her pain. The pain of being betrayed by a friend who smiled in her face as she provided my mother comfort and counsel on her strained relationship with her gay child. A friend who preached anti-gay conservative values in the pulpit to our congregation. A friend who pretended to be a role model of marriage to our community. A friend who was sleeping with her daughter, sleeping with a church youth behind her and everyone else's back. A question some may have is, why did it take me so long to tell this truth? At the age of 40, over 20 years later, why does it matter now? First off, the presence of abuse always matters. There's no expiration date on the impact it has on victims and their loved ones. But the larger answer is because sadly, I just didn't know. It didn't take me 22 years to decide to tell the truth. It took me 22 years to realize the truth. She said, it's taken me this long to understand that my relationship with the First Lady, a title many Black churches give the wife of the male pastor/bishop, was indeed a form of abuse. Our relationship didn't happen in a vacuum. I wasn't some stranger she just happened to meet out in the world. I was a church youth whom she watched grow up alongside her own two children. She herself was a mother figure to the kids in our congregation and to my siblings. And again, she was close friends with my mother, Miss Carletta, who is in the chat tonight. There is absolutely no circumstance where someone could say it was okay for her to be sleeping with me. Sure, I was 18 and technically legal, but I was far from being a proper adult despite my accelerated maturity level. It was she who was the fully grown adult, not me. She was the married woman, not me. She was the church leader, not me. She was in the position of power, not me. She was even the one who initiated the intimacy, not me, Tarica said. I need everybody to share this live as I read this. She continues, but I never saw it like that. Throughout the relationship and for years after, I've been made to feel like our being together was a decision I had made all on my own. Like I had been the cause and the one in control. It was not until I was the age that she was when she began sleeping with me that I realized just how fucked up the situation actually was. When I reached my late 30s, the scales fell from my eyes and it finally hit me. This relationship had been abused. Why? Because there is no way a grown adult should ever be having sex with a teenager, even a legal one. Now, a fully grown adult myself, there's no doubt how infinitely and morally wrong it was for her to do such a thing. And yet, there she was sleeping with me. She aged 38 and I aged 18, which is the same thing Bishop Brian Gregory McCrae of Victory Deliverance Center in Benson was trying to do with some young boy who we put out, who we exposed his ass, trying to get into DMs, 35 years old, trying to sleep and mess with a 17-year-old child. Get somebody your own damn age. She said, I recently learned that there is a specific word for this. What's that word, y'all? That's the term for an older adult who is sexually attracted to post-pubescent teenagers 15 to 19, if the shoe fits. But back then, the age difference was a matter of pride to me. I felt validated. I was, quote, so mature that someone 20 years older than me wanted to be with me. Do y'all hear this story that this young lady is telling? And you couldn't tell me it wasn't love, because for me, it sincerely was. I was deeply in love with this woman. She was first to our church community, but she was first to me in other ways. My first emotional love and my first sexual lover. She was my Sandy and I was her sweetness. My song for her was Anita's Baker, Angel, and hers for me was Sweet Love. Being with her, being with her showed me just how passionately I could love another person. I gave her my virginity. I gave her my heart. I gave her my soul. I would have dedicated the rest of my life to her happiness and growth if she'd accepted. I wanted to, even felt like God had put me in place to. I was a fool, a young, dumb fool. In the 2 decades since then, I've grown and I've learned. I've learned that abuse doesn't always look like physical violence. It's often too much subtle and coercive. Abuse can be in the way someone talks to you and how they treat you. I've learned that power plays a huge part in abuse. Woo! Now that right there. Okay. Having influence and authority is what allows predators to take advantage of their victims. I've learned that love, true love, does not look like what our relationship looked like. Ours wasn't a fairy tale of star-crossed lovers like I imagined in my head. It was a secret and moral affair initiated by a so-called virtuous woman who saw that she could get from me what she wasn't getting at home. Oh! Devotion, affection, and sex. Now, hold on. Now, Pastor Walker, now at this time that Tarica's talking about all of this, Pastor Walker was married to a bishop named Manuel Stancil. She's not, I think he died 2 years ago, but she's no longer with him. She's with a whole nother man, you know, who we showed y'all earlier. Okay. She says, and years later, once she was done with me, she tossed me aside and threw me away to go back to the illusion of the life she had before. I was left behind, her dirty little secret shoved into a dark corner. Are y'all sharing this live? Because we just warming up. This is just the introduction. That abandonment broke in me. I wanted to die and I almost killed myself. Now, this was in November 2023. She had suicidal thoughts previously about this. She said, the day I came closest to doing so, I checked myself into a hospital. I eventually got medication for my depression and even got a cat, my beloved Isis, rest in peace, so that I'll have a living creature to take care of. I didn't need to be alone with myself. And despite all of that, I never blamed her. I always taken responsibility for the affair. After all, I was the church heathen with the demonic gay spirit. That's what my church taught, homosexuality as a sin. That had been ingrained in me very well ever since I figured out that I was gay in middle school. And she was the bishop's wife, the example of morality and holiness. So I made everything my fault. I ignored the fact that her being with me meant that she was a queer too. Woo, Tarica, Lord. Ooh. She said, so I made everything my fault. I ignored the fact that her being with me meant that she was a queer too. She chose to ignore that fact as well. Way back when gay marriage was a hot voting topic in North Carolina, I remember watching her in the pulpit talking about how marriage was between a man and a woman and the congregation giving their amen in agreement. I wonder how she could say that out of the same mouth that kissed me. And even then, I still didn't blame her. But that's what abuse does. It makes you overlook and excuse being violated. It makes you feel at fault for the hurt and pain and conflict and confusion you're experiencing when you are in fact the victim. Abuse can also make you feel like you have to protect your abuser. I kept our relationship a secret precisely because I wanted to protect her. I knew us being together was wrong, but in my mind, I was the only one who was wrong. If people found out, they'll blame me, not her. Remember, she said that Pastor Sonia Spence Walker initiated all of this stuff, but yet she blamed herself. She said, if people found out, they'll blame me, not her, even though, Tarica said that Pastor Spence Walker, Sonia Spence Walker initiated it, but they would blame her because that's what they do though. When they pastor get caught up, they always want to blame the person that the pastor done did something to, instead of checking your leader. She said, they'll blame my gay spirit and say the devil had gotten to her through me or something like that. That's the kind of church we were. Case in point. Ooh. There was a trip to New York with my mother, first me and a few other church ladies. While my mother and a family friend were out shopping, she was intimate with me in the hotel room. Her betrayal of my mother runs deep. Afterwards, as we were leaving, two of the church ladies stuck their head out their room and they glared at us. They heard us through the adjoining wall. On the way home, one of them whispered to me in the car that what's done in the dark comes to the light. She was letting me know that she knew. In other words, what she's saying is that this young lady was letting her know that her, Tarica, and allegedly Pastor Walker was having sexual relations inside of the hotel room. But why would she tell me, the teenager, instead of the grown married woman? Because I was considered to be the wrongdoer. Those two members and their family eventually left the church, but as far as I know, nothing was ever said to the adult perpetrator about the incident, just to me, the gay juvenile who was considered to be spiritually delinquent. And why has she told my mother what she knew? Because churches do a horrible job of protecting their children. So many of us are assaulted, molested, and taken advantage of by church leaders who have been put on pedestals by their congregations. It's so bad that some of us don't even realize it's happening to us. Girl, you better say that. I certainly didn't. If someone had asked me years ago if there was a child abuse in our church, I had said no, with absolutely conviction. I didn't see that it was me. Too often people either refuse to see or refuse to speak. That's why I've decided to speak up for myself. I'm speaking up for my teen self who was sexually used and emotionally abused by a respected church leader. I'm speaking up in the way others should have if they saw what was happening. She called out that person that told her was done in the dark. She just called you out in here. You should have spoken out because you said you saw it. You told her you saw it, but you ain't say nothing to the pastor, right? Okay. I'm speaking up for the youth it's happening to right now. The child who needs someone to see what's happening to them and do something about it. But most of all, I'm speaking up to liberate myself. She and I last communicated via Messenger in 2018. At one point, I wanted her to acknowledge and confront the pain she caused me. Instead, she told me that I needed to let it go and move on, that nothing would change concerning her past. She said she, quote, prayed about her, and evidently that's all she felt the need to do. We were supposed to talk once more, but we never spoke again after that conversation. Perhaps if we had, it would have liberated me in a different way, but I'll never know her inner story, and I no longer care to. After all, predators don't take accountability for their actions. Predators do take for granted the silence of their victims, silence that is often compelled by shame. I was 35 then and still didn't see this as abuse. Now, 5 years later, I see it quite clearly. So I'm taking her advice. I'm finally letting go, moving on, and giving myself closure, but I'm doing it my way. My letting go looks like releasing illusions, releasing the illusion of being safe with her, the illusion of being loved by her, the illusion of being responsible for everything that happened with her. None of those things are true, Tarica said in her story. My moving on means opening up about the relationship, opening up about the impact, opening up about the pain. I own my story and my truth. My closure is confession, confessing to my family, confessing to my community, confessing to myself. My healing comes through revelation. For 22 years, the love I still held for her in my heart is what kept her secret in my throat. Now I free myself from both. I free myself from protecting her with my silence. The day after I told my mother what happened, I became emotionally overwhelmed and stayed in bed for a week. My soul was working to accept the new truth that this woman whom I loved so deeply had never truly cared about me. That this cherished relationship that had been so formative to who I am today was nothing more than a cruel lie. I'm sorry, y'all. I got the cursor going crazy. Follow me. Put your hand on the screen and go like that. My heart was broken again, and I had to experience a new dimension of grief and anguish. I still am. When I think about it, an intense wave of anxiety flows through me. I recognize that I'm having a 22-year delayed trauma response in my mind, my body, and spirit. And I hold space for myself to go through it. And yet, even with the onset of this anxiety and trauma, I have been at peace with my decision to talk about this publicly. Part of that peace is my own value system of openness, communication, transparency, and vulnerability. I believe that we must be open about our traumatic lived experiences to help others through theirs. That we must communicate with one another for deeper understanding of one another. And that we must be transparent about our thoughts and feelings. And that being vulnerable with each other is what leads to connection and healing. Girl, you better preach. Ain't this girl preaching? She preaching and telling us. Listen, I done got chills over here that I'm getting hot. I mean, I'm getting chills just listening to her story because I feel what she's saying. I feel the emotion behind it. She is preaching in this story. These are the values I live by as a person, as a friend and loved one to others, as a creative artist and a wellness leader. These are the values that keep me accountable to people I care about, the people I serve, the people who believe in me. These are not values I was taught in my church. They are values I was taught by spirit after I left and developed my relationship with God on my own. Through it all, spirit has kept me. When I believed I burned in hell for my sexuality that I didn't choose and couldn't change because that's what my church had taught me, spirit spoke to me directly and said, the only thing you need to be delivered from is believing that God hates you. Woo! Woo! Somebody should have just ran right there. I see. Listen, I almost ran. Listen. When I wanted to die and didn't believe I'd make it to age 30, spirit kept shining a light within me and sometimes subtly. I continue to trust God's direction, even when I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. Even now, I don't know what will happen after I make this public post. How will people react? Will people from my past community believe me? Will any of them hold her accountable? We're going to hold her accountable. Will they even care if her congregation finds out she is the pastor of her own church now? Will they continue to follow her? Are the youth of her church safe? Or has she preyed on the children of other members since me? If confronted, will she lie and try to spin it as an attack by the devil? Will people come after me and accuse me of making it all up? Will telling my truth negatively impact my businesses and my standing in my current communities? Will someone even try to physically attack me out of anger and resentment? Will I be safe? She said, I don't know the answers to any of this, but Spirit has put me on the path to this moment for a reason. And I have faith that I'll get through it some way, somehow. What matters is that my sisters believe me. My mother believes me. My family supports me telling my story as I see fit. That's all I need. With this post comes a rebirth. I enter the second half of my life. God willing, I make it to 80, finally releasing the burden of this secret. I release my, oh my gosh. I just, this girl is just pouring her heart out. And we haven't even got to the meat of her story. And when she tell you that if you got to walk away and take a minute, that's true. Because people that I've even spoken to, because like I said, I haven't seen the whole all of her videos, but the people that I've spoken to have told me in a psalm of things of how watching her tell her story in these videos, you know, really bothered them. She said, I release looking back on the time together with fondness. I released the belief that she ever loved me. I released my remaining love for her. I released the inner narrative that tells me it was all my fault. I released being her dirty little secret. And I release worrying about what comes after this moment. It's beyond my control. What is in my control is my wellness and self-care. I'm starting counseling to really process what happened to me then and how it impacts me now. I need to explore how this abusive relationship amplified my abandonment issues and may have negatively affected all of my relationships after it. I need help understanding that what I felt was love may have actually been a detrimental trauma bond that I was groomed into. There's a real heaviness that has come with acknowledging and accepting such a troubling truth. I haven't felt anything like this, not even when I first came out being gay, which I did as a freshman in my college newspaper. This truth is different. It's dark and disturbing. It's not about who I am. It's about what was done to me. It's rooted in secrecy and shame. It's full of unanswered questions and random realizations that hit like a ton of bricks out of nowhere. But I'm committed to getting through it. Another term I learned recently is post-traumatic growth, or PTG. It is defined as positive psychological changes experienced as a result of the struggle with trauma or highly challenging situations. I never knew this term existed, yet I feel like it encompasses my entire life. I believe that our journeys are about growth, inner and outer, individually and communally. I have strived to grow from everything life has ever thrown at me. I know I will grow from this too. Free, no longer am I bound. Free, no more chains holding me. While writing this piece, which I drafted over several days before posting, I was moved by Spirit to go get the Bible of my youth from the bookshelf. Despite how scriptures was constantly used to demean and judge me growing up, I did love my little Zondervan NIV student Bible. It's even got curl pages and peeling cover to prove it. Bible in hand, I asked God one last time for direction, this time with a sign. Without looking, I will open it with the intention of landing somewhere, anywhere in Proverbs, which was my favorite book of the Bible growing up. If I did, I was truly on the right path with my decision to tell this truth, and I would no longer question it. I closed my eyes, thumbed through some pages to guess, and opened my Bible with some fear in my heart. I peeked and looked down, and I saw the very first page of Proverbs. Truly, to God be the glory. And it reads, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for attaining wisdom and discipline and understanding words of insight, for acquiring a disciplined and prudent life, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. For understanding proverbs and the parables, the sayings and the riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Let the church say amen. And I believe these right here are messages between her and Pastor Walker, allegedly, where people have been hurt on many levels, myself included. But when do you let it go and move on in your life? Seems like you're moving backwards. You can't undo the past. So do you continue to relive it? And I'm assuming eternity has said, well, when do you acknowledge the past and confront it instead of pretending it never happened? Allegedly, Pastor Walker says, I don't have to. I prayed about me and dealt with me. And she said early in now, this is what eternity is saying, okay? She says, early in our relationship, the bishop's wife gave me her wedding ring as a gift. Her daughter was rightfully upset. If only she known the truth of what was really going on between us. At the time, I was touched and felt that it was special. I felt that I was special, but I'm accepting the reality that it was a symbol of a broken marriage regifted to a teenage mistress just for further grooming. If this ring still means anything to her daughter, she may have it. 2024 update. Since posting this, I've learned that the daughter knew too, and she's defending her mother's denial, so I'm just going to keep it. November the 11th, 2023. Okay? Ain't that? Okay, let me turn the comments on real quick. Y'all. Tori was a gifted writer and wrote and published 2 books of poetry. Yes, Miss Carletta, drop the links to her books down there. Okay, so that was entry 02. Okay. Then we're going to go to, I'm sorry, that was 01. Then we're going to go to 02, which is another Facebook post, but it's short. Because when you tell a story, you got to tell the full story. Okay, let me take mom's comment down. Okay. Now, on November the 6th, 2023, self-love selfie. She said, I was told I was beautiful today. I needed the reminder. For those who have missed my last few posts, I recently came out about an abusive relationship where I was sexually exploited by the bishop's wife of my childhood church. It's been a heavy time. I'm dealing with so many new confusing, conflicting emotions, feeling guilty for having outed my abuser, feeling foolish for having to take so long to tell, feeling stupid for not realizing it was abuse. It was abusive for over 20 years, feeling disappointed at the lack of accountability for her wrongdoings, feeling anger that she is leading a congregation as a liar and a false prophet, feeling rage that she'll probably continue to be a church leader to folks who either don't know of her transgressions or simply don't care. Come on. It's more of the don't care part. Feeling worried that she may have done the same thing to other vulnerable women that she did to me as a teen. But as I write this, I see how I'm still focusing my emotions on her when I need to focus on myself. It's a hard thing to do, knowing that my abuser is out there living life all willy-nilly while I seesaw back and forth between feeling peace and feeling pissed. I'm trying to remember to lean on spirit and trust that her consequences will come sooner than later. In the meantime, I'll keep working on taking care of me. I'll keep trying to remember that I'm beautiful. Wow. Let me say something. Do you know that some of the most talented, gifted, and anointed people go through some of the worst stuff in their life? And it's coming back to me because the mom said that she's written books and she does poetry, which it is on her page. You guys can see that. But to hear her story and to see the gift that God is giving her to tell a story, it's just wow. All right, so that was her second post. Okay, that was 02. Now we're gonna go to 03. It's a 2-minute video. Like I said, these videos are compiled together, but she breaks them off. Okay, the next video is all it takes is one person. Is a 2-minute clip. Okay, so let me share this screen, get this video back up here. All right. All right. Okay. I'm talking about gifted. All right, here we go. Okay, so y'all can see it for yourself. You see the true confessions of a teenage mistress. All it takes is one person, all right?
So, I got a text from my mom saying that one of her members left her church today, after she read my story. And I feel a lot right now. It's been slowly building in my chest and my heart space. It feels like vindication, like knowing even if it would only be just one person, but knowing at least one person made a decision based on the truth that I shared. Like, at least one person sees her for who she is and chooses not to support that based on my sharing. It feels like it means something. It feels like it means something. And all it takes is one. And I'm so grateful for that one. Thank you.
Okay, and then we're just gonna go through her other video. There was another one post that she had did, and I did not grab that one for some reason. But we're gonna go to is this? No, I think this is it. Let me see.
So now I understand. I feel like I understand more why people assign meaning, some kind of God-given meaning to the trauma they go through, because it is so hard to fathom something so horrible happening to you for no reason, like for just like you have to find something good in something so horrible. I think that's what it is. You feel this need to find something good to come out of something so very bad. And in my case, not even realizing how bad it was until so much time had passed, and feeling bad about that. So, because right now, as I'm processing the thought that multiple people in my church community knew this was happening. Like, not new members, not random folks that, came every now and then and like heard a rumor, but people who watched me grow up, people who I still remember to this day as being an instrumental part of my upbringing. Them knowing that this was happening and made no move to protect me, no move to inform my family, my mother, just let it keep happening. For me to realize this, to come upon this and to accept this, is like okay, this is so awful for me. I have to turn this into something good. I have to turn this into something good. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you feel God did this on purpose so that you would have a message for hurting people. No, I don't believe God plans bad things to happen to us on purpose so that we can have a message out of it. That's what they teach you with the book of Job, that your suffering is with purpose. And that's how people accept their suffering. I'm not accepting this suffering as a God-given purpose, but I will give purpose to this suffering. And that's by telling my story, because that is the only way. It's the only way I can live with this. So it's either talk about it, be a platform for shouting about change for this so it does not happen to somebody else. Not that it, no. So that it happens less and less. That we can create communities and systems where accountability and, dealing with people who want to have sex with children, like, is that something we can all agree on that this is bad? The only people who don't agree with that are pedophiles. The people who actually do it, okay? So, white, black, old, young, straight, gay, queer, heteronormative, old, poor, new, rich, just everybody across all identity lines, across all intersections. Can we agree that an adult having sex with a minor, with a child, and with a extremely young adult, because people want to argue, well, 18 is legal. That don't mean shit. Like, stuff being legal doesn't make it right. We know this. We know this from history. That's the old argument. Quit trying to use that argument. Adults.
Let me say this. 16 the age of 16 in North Carolina is considered an adult. You think a 35, 38-year-old person having sex with a 16-year-old, age of consent, you think that's okay? I mean, I'm just saying, because I get where she's coming from, because I talk about it all the time. It's nasty.
Having sex with minors, with children, with teenagers, and with extremely young adults need to be dealt with. Can we all agree on this? And if your answer is no, please explain in the comments why. I would like to know that. But if your answer is yes, then what are you going to do about it in your community, in your surrounding, in your tribe? What are you going to do in action that matches your words of, yes, we can all agree that this should not be allowed to happen? How are you going to no longer allow it to happen? And how are you going to deal with the stuff that you knew happened and didn't say anything?
Hold on, let me block him real quick. Samuel, yeah, that's why I said it's the age of consent. It's not an adult, you're right, but it's the age of consent. But let me go and block you. You have a good night. Okay, let me go on.
The stuff you know is happening right now and they're not saying anything. What are you going to change? Put your answer in the comments.
Absolutely right, Miss Sweet Talk. Some states is lower than that, but is it North Carolina? I think it's North Carolina. Don't quote me on that. Where a parent can, like, if your child is not like legal, I think the lowest you can let a child in North Carolina get married is, I think it's 14 years old with the signature of a parent. It's just so disgusting. It's disgusting. These people is disgusting. Uh, maybe they've changed it. They said the pastor should go to jail. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, y'all. So the next part of this series, her, because like I said, I couldn't put the whole hour video up there and compile them, so I had to split them up. But this next part is she's still on. It wasn't a secret. But this is part 3. Let me just make sure. Wait, hold on. Wait, maybe I think I closed out of 2 videos. Hold on, y'all. Give me one moment. Let me get this up here for y'all. Okay, here we go right here. Sorry, y'all. Give me one moment. We was on the roll, weren't we? All right. All right. Here we go. Screen share. Is that it? All right, I think it's okay. All right, so this is the part. This is part 3. All right.
So more thoughts come, and I realize what makes me foolish. Like what really makes me foolish about this. Because I don't think that as an 18-year-old I wasn't mature enough or self-aware enough to experience love in the way that I feel that I did. I think that's something I was certainly capable of. I think that's something that is still real for me, no matter what all this other stuff is. What what makes me a dumb teenager is thinking that nobody knew. We were sloppy. We were sloppy at times. But the fact that nobody said anything except for the people that said something to me, for those familiar with the original post. Nobody said anything. So that was my young, dumb, teenage to early 20s mind. Like, well, it started when I was a teenager, and so of course it went into my 20s because this relationship lasted multiple years, and at no point did anybody say anything.
Now, for those who are just coming in, okay, she's talking about their relationship, her and Pastor Walker's alleged relationship was sloppy at times, but nobody caught on to it. And if you don't know who Pastor Walker is and who we are talking about tonight, we're talking about this woman right here, Pastor Sonia Spence Walker of Word Center Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, she's also, according to her page, is the overseer designate for the NC Coastal Jurisdiction of Mount Calvary Holy Churches of America. And I think somebody put that in the comments too. Yeah. But this is who Miss Eternity is talking about.
So, of course, I, as a teen, interpret that as, oh, we're getting away with it. We're slick. We weren't slick. Folks just didn't say anything. And now I wonder, like, what would have happened if anybody said anything? Well, first off, why didn't they? Theories around that, or guesses around that. They didn't care, or other things. I don't know. But anyway, what's my point? I'm talking in circles. Oh, yeah. Yeah, thinking that people didn't know.
Somebody just sent me a message and they said, hold on, I'm sorry, I got to stop this. Somebody just sent me a message and they said, Sonya Walker's adjutant, Keisha Jones, another one of her love slaves, is watching the live right now, but I digress. Well, if Keisha is watching, girl, we talking about your pastor and your little girlfriend, if it is, according to what this lady said. Yep, yep. We talk about your pastors because people can see when you friends with people and you going live streams, you can see your friends and then you can see who coming in too.
It was quite the opposite. People did know. And the fact that people knew and didn't say anything actually explains why the bishop himself never said anything. It was an open secret. It was an open secret. And that's why folks didn't. That's why I thought nobody knew. But people did know. And what would have happened? That also tells me I was never safe to come out with this as a youth. Because had I come out with this and said this is what's happening, she would have denied it and they would have dragged me and they would have broke me because it would be my word against theirs. I would think I would at least have had some text messages or something to prove it, but that's before technology got to what it is today, where you can screenshot stuff like we had camera attachments to our phones, so there's no way that yeah, there's no way that I could show anything from back then. But man, I wasn't safe. I wasn't safe anywhere. I thought because I was never touched by a man, then I had never been abused. And I was. They didn't know it because I was in love, and I thought it was a secret because nobody said anything. And I was wrong about everything. That's what it is. I was wrong about everything. I've never been more wrong about anything in my entire life. Because I was too young to know better. And she knew that. Wow. Some of my core beliefs are broken and gone. Like the person you loved more than anybody in the world for the first time in your life, the person that made you believe that you had felt true love for the first time in your life, and you thought it was a good thing and a healthy, you thought it was an amazing thing. you find out that you were just an object of convenience. Like, even, of course, if she could lie to my mother and lie to the church, of course she could lie to me. Of course she could lie to me too. Of course she would lie to me too. That it was based in a lie, based in exploitation, based in selfishness, and so there's that. And then to find out that the community that you felt so bad for having to like break this news, and come to find out enough people knew that something could have been done. Enough people knew that enough elders, enough adults, enough. It's like it wasn't like, you know, these were people who, if they had spoken up, people would have believed them together. And they didn't do that because, for whatever reason, and I can't think of any reason good enough, I wasn't worth protecting as a youth of the church. Just me. So the community that I thought I had growing up is also false, because the community I thought I had would have stopped that from happening. And that's not what happened, so I don't know what's left. I don't know what's left. Like, all I have left is my faith in God. That's all I have. What I said about needing to give it meaning, I have got to give it meaning. The whole past at least 20 years into my 20s, so I'm just gonna say just my whole last almost 40 years, because I'm not gonna count the years I don't remember, but my life as I remember it has been a lie. The most important things have been a lie, and those have been relationships. And it does not leave me in a good place. Yeah.
Now, these videos that she did were uploaded in February. Like, she got them up there. She filmed them in January, but she was uploading them in February. Now we're going to do one more last one tonight because I guess I went over time. And then we're going to come back on Tuesday and we're going to do another hour of actual the video and not me talking. But we had to get through the introduction and had to read, because when I bring stories I want you to get the beginning. Don't be coming over here talking about what happened. Get the beginning of the story, okay? And we have to, start from the beginning. And her story is worthy. It deserves it because she's telling you the full story. She's telling you the story. Now, of course, Pastor Walker, Ms. Carla said they've already denied it. They're not going to come up here and talk. They ain't going to speak. Keisha's over here. They sent me a picture of Keisha. Let me show y'all. Hold on. I ain't going to put it up on the big screen, but I'm going to just show you. They sent me a picture of Keisha, allegedly Keisha, and Bishop. Y'all see it? That's allegedly Keisha right there. Okay, you can't see. I'm blurry, but that's allegedly Keisha. Keisha! And then somebody sent me their numbers. I ain't calling them people, y'all. Okay. So we're gonna go to this last video. It's I think it's about 13 minutes as well. Yep. It's called The Victim Brain. She filmed this video on January 12th. This is entry 07, okay? All right.
So I want to talk a little bit about what I've dubbed victim brain. I looked it up. I Googled it to see if it was a term that is already used. I really couldn't find anything. So
that's not Keisha. That's not Keisha. I'm sorry, Wednesday. That's not Keisha. Oh, Monique said that's not Keisha. Well, who that is? Who that in? Cause they said it's Keisha. All right, y'all.
Real quick, if you have ever heard the term victim brain, please let me know in the comments what the reference is. But I'm going to talk about what I mean when I say victim brain. And if nobody knows, if nobody's heard of it, then yay, I coined a term. Let's see. So for me, what I've dubbed victim brain is the thoughts that I've been having about coming out with my story.
Yes, Miss Carla, Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Talking about my abuser in a very clear way. Basically outing her. And there is a part of me that hates that I'm doing it. Absolutely hates that I am revealing her. And like even right now I can feel it in my chest space. That's the part of me that still loves her. That's the part of me that has continued to love her. That's the part of me that is the 18-year-old who loved her. That's what it is. It's not so much that I still love her, but that 18-year-old part of me that did love her is still a part of me. I think that's a little bit more accurate when I say I still have feelings or I still love her. Yeah. And that 18-year-old part of me is what generates my victim brain, because there are times where I still think like that. Like, when the relationship began and as it continued, even though I know now it was a pretty sloppy open secret, in my mind, in my reality, I was protecting her by never saying anything. Like, because as far as I knew, we were the only ones who knew. I didn't want anything bad to happen to her for being with me. Because when I love somebody, I want to protect them. And it never occurred to me that, this was something that she started, she initiated, she had control over, she had the power. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that. Because all I knew was that in saying yes, I took responsibility. And that's also an interesting thing. I took responsibility then for her choices and actions because I took responsibility for my choices. That's weird. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that she should take because I didn't think she did anything wrong. That's why. I was going to say, why didn't it occur to me that she should take responsibility for her choices? But in my heart, in my mind, she didn't do anything wrong. And that's why. Yeah. She didn't do anything wrong. I did. I did not see any of that at the time. So anyway, going back, victim brain is when 18-year-old me, 18-year-old me is like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to keep this secret.
Wow. Are y'all paying attention to what she's saying? This victim brain, I had to start taking notes because what she's saying is powerful. Like she's telling you about the 18-year-old in the victim brain that's talking to this much older woman who is now like, listen, I'm not holding this no more. I'm about to put it out there. I'm letting it go. I'm telling my story. But that 18-year-old that loved that person that she's now letting go and telling her story about is coming back up. Like, what are you doing? Wow. Wow.
Because you love her and you want to protect her. That is what victim brain is saying to me. But now I also see that I've been able to identify victim brain as I've been talking about victim brain. And that's why I'm recording these videos. Like, I just need to talk through the thoughts. Sometimes with a counselor and sometimes just out loud. And hopefully that processing helps somebody else. But anyway, there are moments, a lot of moments actually. I think fewer than there used to be because I'm still transitioning, but there are still moments where I'm like, what the fuck did I do? How could I do that to her? Yeah, those particular thoughts are much fewer now. Because even as I say it, I'm like, it doesn't resonate as strongly emotionally. So, but like I said, there are just those moments where the victim brain really does, like, make me question if I'm doing the right thing. And I'm clearly not doing the wrong thing, because the thing that would be wrong would be if I were lying. If I was trying to like attack her, or if I had any motive other than telling my story, then maybe I could say I'm doing something wrong. But telling my story as it happened to me, as I'm understanding it now, I'm not, that's the best thing I can do. And so if the best thing I can do for me is the worst thing I can do for her, then I win. Like, I choose me. Because
Girl, you better
to choose
breathe.
me is to choose my healing, is to console that part of me that will always love her, is to do a lot of things. I'm gonna have to sit with that. I'm gonna list everything that it is to me, because that way when victim brain starts to speak, I can console her, me, with how this is benefiting me, us. And considering everything that was taken from me, the first time experiences that I could have had with somebody who did actually love me, then the petty part of me will say, well, perhaps now we're even. But yeah, this is for me. This is for me now, and this is for me then. Because I'm hoping, or I'm guessing and hoping that as I heal 18-year-old me, I really will be able to let it go. Yeah. So use this as encouragement to tell your story. If you're still feeling emotionally trapped, in a situation that you know wasn't healthy for you, but you still have those feelings, maybe just talk it out so that you can heal that part of yourself that's still there, and maybe be able to let it go. I don't know if you can hear that. My stomach's rumbling. I hope you didn't hear that, because it was very loud. Yeah. So to wrap up, going back to my original point, which was victim brain. Originally, I was defining it as the part of your brain, or the part of you that thinks about how you're wronging your abuser by speaking up. That's how I would define victim brain. And then the thing that I learned in talking about that is that what is beneficial is identifying your victim brain. Like, what part of you, what part of you is the part that still feels that, and focus on healing that part of you. Because this very much has been this very much has felt like an inner child journey. Turning 40 really does do something. Like, the way I do birthday is like, so when my 40th birthday came, that's to celebrate, that's to close out the 40 years I have completed. I am now presently in year 41. So I have completed 40 years. I am in year 41. And it very much has felt like a rebirth this year. This calendar year and this birthday year, because I am releasing the parts of me that still are attached to people who mean me no good, and don't care, and perhaps never did. And I've also had a rebirth in my artistry, going back to the creative person I was in my childhood. Like, I was very, very creative and a voracious reader, and that was like my joy. And I'm getting to a place where my joy is my job. And it feels like it's like building the childhood of my dreams as an adult, where my primary thing is to create art and teach wellness and hold space for people, and being supported in doing that because people see me and want to support me. Really putting myself out there for that last part. So yeah, all right, that was a lot. That was a lot. So thank you for sticking with me in that process, because we're at it was quite a few minutes there. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope that what I have shared and just talked through has been beneficial to you. Please share your thoughts, your reflections in the comments, because that might help somebody else as well. All right. Thank you.
We're going to start right there for tonight. Victim brain. Did y'all hear her say her joy became her job? Like, think about that. For those who are just tuning in and don't know what is going on, the young lady you just heard from, Tarica James, Eternity, she was at a ministry in Raleigh, North Carolina, when Pastor Sonia Spence Walker, who's now a pastor, was a first lady married to her other husband. They were in a relationship. She was being groomed. And it's a lot. It's really a lot. You have to come in here from the beginning to really understand her story, because it's so many moving parts to it. But she started documenting what she went through with the abuse and when she was a child and the relationship, and how Pastor Walker just threw her to the side, because that hurts when you in love with somebody and they just throw you to the curb and you go on with your regular life like they don't even exist no more, like you don't even know them. Like that's messed up. And somebody in the comments said something similar to that, and I had been thinking about this. I was like, why does ladies do her like that? You know, why even mess with a child? A child, 18, 15. Why do y'all old ass people want to be in relationships with 17-year-old, 18-year-olds? I mean, I don't get that. She spoke out and she documented her story. But on September the 7th of this year, Tarica couldn't deal with it anymore. And she scheduled a post for it to publish on the 8th. And in her post, it said, I did the best I could with what I had. I'm sorry it wasn't enough, but now I don't have to live for anyone else anymore. I can finally die for me. For those that just tuned in, that'll give you, a little bit of information of where we are and what we're talking about. So if you missed it, catch the replay, because y'all know I really don't do no recaps. I really, really don't. Because it'd be so much we done said and stuff. It's like, why give you a little bit and then you go back and get all of it. But we will be back live on Wednesday with Tarica's story at 7:00. Okay. We're going to be going until her story is done. And then at the end, her mom is going to come up here and we're going to show her some love. We're going to talk to her. We're going to gift her and show her that we love her, and that if there's any other victim that's out there, it's okay to come forward. Tell us, we can help you. Now, I did not reach out to Pastor Sonia Spence Walker's church or try to get a statement about her on this story because she know what's going on. They said Keisha over here. Keisha, the adjutant over here. You know the adjutant, that's the right hand woman, that's the right hand man. But we're gonna continue to tell her story and continue to spread awareness about her story. Okay. Again, this is who Tarica's story is about. Pastor Sonia Spence Walker, now pastor of Word Center Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay. In North Carolina. And okay, she is the overseer designated, may already be the overseer, okay, for the North Carolina coastal jurisdiction of Mount Calvary Holy Church of America, okay, but she is the pastor of the Word Center Church in Raleigh, and her and Tarica allegedly have been in a relationship. Tarica was very young. She talked about in her post how she was very young, younger than 18. If you go back and read, she talked about it. And this pastor allegedly groomed her. Tarica said they were in a relationship. They were sloppy. She thought people didn't know. I mean, her story is just, it's just so much to it that you really just have to go to her page if you want to while we're, waiting to go back live and read up on it, or you can just wait to follow along with us. But those videos that I just heard, I did not hear those. When I first heard about her story, I just heard the introduction. I think this post video she did. She was reading her post. But we will be back live on Wednesday, y'all, with her story again. Okay, with her story again. So they said, "Oh no, she about to come down." Yeah, I mean, but this is what's happening in the church. This is what's happening in the church. And she said it. People with power, money, they try to get away. That's what they do. Try to silence their abusers. And they silence their victims. And thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight. We will be back on Wednesday. Tomorrow is election day, so we will not be live. Make sure you go out and vote. Don't matter who you vote for, just get out and vote. All right? Vote, vote, vote. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Miss Carletta, we love you so much, and we're going to be here. Thank y'all for staying here and supporting of this mom. And, thank y'all for just supporting her, in this, her daughter's story. I said every time I think about Tarica, I say, I wish I would have known. And someone said, Gerald, they sent it to me, but y'all, I get so many emails. I didn't know. But when this happened to her back in September, so many people blew me up. It's like that's all I was getting was about Tarica. And I had told the Lord, I said, Lord, when I go back live, I'm going to bring her story to the forefront. And I'm taking it on TikTok. So because the people need to know what these pastors are doing in the church. It needs to stop, period. Go to church, preach the word, do what God called you to do. God ain't called you to call no child up to your house so you can hang out. God ain't called you to be in no relationship with you. He called you to preach the word, do his will. That's what he called you to do. All this other stuff y'all got going on ain't nowhere. Ain't what God told you to do. It'd be something different if you going through stuff while you doing his work. But when you putting yourself in stuff and you doing stuff like this, because I'm gonna be the devil all week. That's what they gonna say. Oh, Gerald, he the devil. He talking about, he trying to get these people church. Why he bringing this up here? Because I can. And I'm gonna talk about it. Y'all keep doing it. I'm gonna keep talking about it. So keep doing it. And I'm gonna keep talking about it. But you're gonna keep on doing it, and your ass gonna be in jail with years. Keep on messing with the children. Thank y'all so much for